Hello, everyone. Happy Friday and welcome to Freelancer Live. I just got off a call and then a live with Julia from Million Dollar Women to celebrate Million Dollar Women's 5-year anniversary. So it's just been a back-to-back day, but let's keep it going. I am so excited to interview Viola Sutanto today. I'm sure she'll be on in just a moment. So looking forward to it. It's just a good day. I feel like a lot of great things are happening today. I have another friend, Kelly, who's celebrating her 1-year business anniversary. So that is so exciting. Congratulations, Kelly. So I hope you're all having a great day. I'm also going to get my hair cut today. That's exciting to me because I haven't gotten my haircut in a very long time. All right. I'm just trying to... Okay, hold on. Okay, my guest Julia Pimsler, my mentor and friend, is also live right now. And I was a guest on her live just a moment ago. And my guest, Viola, just ended up popping on her live. So I'm sure she'll be here in a moment. Okay, I don't know why it is not letting me comment to share. Oh, there we go. Here we are. I'm just going to put in the comments my guest today so that you all know who I am interviewing. And I'm going to pin it so it'll show up right at the top. And then we are going to let Viola in right now. Let's go for it. Hello.
Hello.
How
That
are
was
you? I'm
hilarious.
sorry I confused you by being in Julia's video. She last minute was like, let's get on and celebrate because it's their 5-year anniversary today. So sorry I confused you there.
Oh, no worries. I hopped on and Julia's face popped up and then she waved at me. I thought, wait a minute. Whose video am I
Whoops. How are you
on?
today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's so wonderful to see your face. It has been way too long.
I know it really has been.
I
It's
know it's
lovely to
usually
see
like a
you.
yearly we get to celebrate at the summit and have a drink together, but it's been a different year, but that is okay. We're here and I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you too.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I am going to go ahead and let everybody know what they're watching if they're joining for the first time, and then I'm going to read your super impressive bio and then we'll get into our chat.
Sounds good.
So my name is Erin Coles. I am the founder of a wedding band collective here in New York City called the Metropolitan Players. And when the pandemic hit, I just noticed that so many of my friends who are mainly entrepreneurs, mostly female entrepreneurs, as well as artists, freelancers, were all, just figuring things out and trying to get through the pandemic. And so I wanted to open up a platform for those people to share their stories. So this is Freelancer Live. This is where I interview small business owners, freelancers, and gig workers about their journeys and their stories. And we will probably touch a little bit on what happened during COVID, since that is such a big topic nowadays. But I am so excited to introduce Viola Sutanto. That is how you say your name, correct? Viola Sutanto?
Correct.
Amazing. Okay. I wanted to make sure. And Viola we've known each other for now, what has it been, 5 years? 5 years, I think. So
Yeah.
we met through Million Dollar Women, which is a community started by Julia Pimsler. It's their 5-year anniversary today, so this is extra exciting that I'm chatting with Viola today, because we took masterclass together and have just stayed in touch ever since. Viola is the sweetest person ever and so amazing, such an incredible entrepreneur, and I'm so excited to have her here today. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today, Erin. It's an
Of
honor.
course, of course. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a formal introduction, read all about you, and then we'll start hearing from you. So Viola is the founder and creative force behind Maika, a stylish and sustainable soft goods brand inspired by delightful travel and everyday living. In a previous life, Viola ran a brand agency and has worked with national retail clients ranging from Design Within Reach, Peet's Coffee, and Chronicle Books. Weaving words and images together into meaningful stories is her superpower and has propelled the Maika brand into an international presence. Viola's work has been featured on the Today Show, Real Simple, O Magazine, and numerous publications. She is also the author of Packaging Your Crafts and currently working on her second book. May 2021 is when that will launch, called Eat Cake and 99 Other Small Acts of Happiness. Viola lives with her husband and her 2 kids in the San Francisco Bay Area. She is 5'2" on a good day, but is a force to be reckoned with on the basketball court.
That's
I
an
love
ongoing
that
joke.
last part. It's so good. So why don't you go ahead and start by sharing
Oops,
a little
looks
bit.
like we have a little bit of a connection. Oh,
Oop,
you're back. Okay,
all right,
you're back.
sorry about that.
Oh no.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and start by sharing a little more about yourself, the story of you, how you got from little Viola to where you are today.
How much time do we have? No,
We can take
I
the
feel
whole
like you.
time, the whole hour.
Well, I think you've done a really great job of introducing my kind of professional life, but little Viola came from Indonesia. That's where I was born. I grew up in Singapore and came out here to the Bay Area for college. I studied business at UC Berkeley and have been in various parts of California since. So I didn't really find my creative calling till later on. So when I had graduated from business school, I was working in the financial institution and relatively happy, good job, things are good, and um, started taking art classes at night just for fun. And that was when I found my real calling, which was I need to be a designer. I think this is where I'm headed. And so I did the scary thing. I quit my job and went back to school, went to design school, and have not looked back since. I've been fortunate enough to have worked with some of the best designers in the country. I've learned a lot from them. I've learned how not just to be a designer, but how to be a business owner, how to grow a company, and I've taken that and in the course of several years decided I wanted to start my own agency. And that was when I started my very first business venture. It was called Chewing the Cud. Um, and Chewing the Cud is a hybrid design agency where, we were designing for clients. We did a lot of branding work for small to mid-sized companies, but we also had our own line of products, and we also had licensing deals with other brands. And I found that really fulfilling, just being involved in various parts of the business from time to time.
So, first of all, that is such a cool nugget of information that I did not know, because always looked at your Instagram name, Chewing the Cut Again, and I was like, I wonder what that's from. Like, I have no clue. But that is so cool that that was the name of your first company.
It's really it's quite a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And I had my reservations when I first started the company with that name, and I thought, because that was the website I owned when I was in art school, and that was where my portfolio was hosted. And so I just kept on using that name. My email was Viola at Chewing the Cud, and I just kept thinking, is that weird to open up a design agency and be talking about cows? And I did get those questions, like people would be like, so is your dad a butcher? And I would be like, I don't think my dad's ever been in the kitchen, let alone be a butcher. But one validation that I got early on, and I have never forgotten this, is I can't remember. I was doing some kind of client work and somehow got to emailing Seth Godin, my hero, and
Yeah.
he wrote back. I had written to him about something else, completely different, marketing question or whatever it was, and he wrote back saying, "Yeah, sure," like a three word answer to my question. But then he said, "You have the most fabulous domain name. Don't ever give it up." And I thought, okay, yes, if you say so, I will never ever
Oh
give it
my
up.
gosh, what an amazing validation to get it from
Isn't
Seth
it?
Godin. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's my little claim to fame or little tiny connection to.
I
Marketing
love that
guru.
so much. And how, like, where did that name come from anyway? Like in the first place, how did that come to be?
Well, so the metaphor chewing the cud means to, think things through carefully and slowly. Cows have basically four parts: their stomach, and it's a metaphor. The phrase chewing the cud means that they're just chewing the grass or the food that they're consuming through the four parts, and so it takes forever. It's really slow, and for me, that was, a representation of how I approach design thinking. Is I need to percolate and think it through. I don't want to just put stuff out there for the sake of putting stuff out there, and I want everything I put out there to be thoughtful and thought through.
That is so cool. I did not know that that was a metaphor for that. So you've taught me something today. That is really cool. So after that first company, Chewing the Cud, then you went ahead and started Maika Goods. Can you talk a little bit more about the inspiration behind doing that?
Now looking back, I realized that, my thought process has actually been very consistent. So continuing on with that whole chewing the cud metaphor, I thought like I really want to, well, first of all, I would love to work with products. I've done a lot of branding work for other clients, but I would love to make something, and at that time we did already have a line of products. It was letterpress stationery and reusable fabric gift wraps, and from there, I knew, I really love working with textiles and I'd love to make something with it. And the sustainability aspect of it was also really interesting to me. The idea of using cloth to wrap gifts, to transport things, um, all of that sort of evolved into this idea of creating a line of products that would solve real challenges for real people.
Mm.
So, but doing it in a fun, delightful way. So I started thinking about like what tools do we need in our everyday that help streamline our very hectic lives, and to be able to do it in a beautiful, sustainable, and fun way. And that became the inspiration for Micah. And I should also
That's
add that my first product is a bag because I come from a family of bag people. My family in Indonesia has been in a luxury bag business for 4 decades.
wow.
And yeah, and so, growing up, I always said I will never be in the bag business. It's so hard. And look where I am now.
Ah, that is hilarious. I didn't know that either. That is so cool. There's like definitely some like history there and something in your blood that was just like, okay, this is what I gotta do.
I think
Um,
so.
that's so cool. So I, of course, am in a service-based business, so only somewhat familiar from hearing other people's stories about the world of being in a product-based business and selling products and manufacturing and all of that. Like when you started this business, assuming that was sort of a, I mean, now that I know your family has been in that business for a while, I'm sure you had a little inkling of how that worked, but what was the process of like hiring and finding the right people and finding the company to manufacture all of those things? Like what was that process like and how did you figure that out?
Um, it through trial and error in very expensive ways and mistakes. And I mean, joking aside, I'd say that it was a lot of research in the beginning. It was
Mhm.
talking to people in the industry, figuring out, like what is the most economical but high impact way I can test a product without actually, manufacturing a whole bunch of things that my customer or who I think my customer might be would actually want to buy. Because when
Mhm.
you're right in the beginning, you have a preconceived notion of who you want to sell to, the things you want to make, but it may not be what the market is looking for. So, so it was, I definitely had to do my research there, utilize my community to kind of pre-test things to see if, hey, would you want something like this or would you prefer this feature? And just listening in on conversations about, what are the challenges surrounding you and what is your top priority that you want to solve for, and just kind of approached it that way. And in the beginning, it was just me doing everything myself.
Whew.
So yeah, so it was crazy. I'm really glad I started my first company, chewing the cud, before I had kids. Because then, like I felt like, okay, I had a little bit of training there. I know how, looking back now, I know how crazy I sound, like my life looked then, and I don't want to
Yeah.
do it that way again. Especially, holding a baby in one arm and trying to pack
Yeah.
boxes. So, yeah, so it was a long, evolutionary process where I think I've, through my mistakes, grown,
Mhm.
and learned to sort of speed things along faster in the when I was growing my second company.
Yeah. And in terms of your team now, like how large is your team and what are you doing within Maika Goods still?
Well, I still do a lot, but I like to think that I've gotten smarter about it, just because I've gotten better at delegating. Kudos to Million Dollar w Women
Right?
class. That's what they drilled into us, right?
Yes.
Delegate, delegate. And
Yes.
it took me a while, because the first hire is always so scary because like you're transitioning basically from a solopreneur into a a company, of more than one. And, in the sense, I guess, from a freelancer to a business owner.
Yeah.
So, it was in stages. My first hire was a wholesale coordinator because the bulk of my business at that time was catering to stores. I was selling to stores. We did a lot of trade shows. And so I needed someone to help me with that. It was getting to a point where it was so ridiculous where I would be doing my design work, about 3/4 of the day, and then processing orders in QuickBooks in the, 4 to 5 in the evening, and then fulfilling orders, through the night. And it was just, looking back, as now I just think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking about?
Yeah.
Like, how did I even have time to
How?
sleep?
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was, so the first hire was really to ease that part off of my plate. Have somebody to be available, to help take that part of the business off my plate so I could focus on growing as opposed to being so bogged down on the day to day. And then from there on, I actually subscribe to the principles of the E Myth. It's a book by Michael Gerber. Sorry, I'm sure you're familiar with that. And where he advocated, like doing the position yourself first so you know what it entails, and
Mhm.
then find a way to delegate that and then move on to the next big thing you need to do. And then, you just keep trying on those shoes, knowing what those shoes look like, and then delegating it off to the next person. And that's exactly how I grew the company, was just to be able to experience firsthand what that job entails, what kind of skill set is needed, and then be able to write up a good job description that fits that position and find the right person for it, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah. I love that method of doing that. We've done the same thing in our business is like do it first and then I also think when you do that job description that you write is correct. Like it is the closest to what that position actually is to the point where you can find the right person. I'm sure there are probably many mistakes in many businesses where people did not try it first, tried to write a job description and then realized it was wildly different. So that's like really,
So
really
true.
awesome advice.
Yeah, I think that is so true. And I've certainly made that mistake before.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to go through things like that to learn the right way.
Yeah.
So I let's sort of fast forward a little bit. I'm gonna try to stick with like the timeline of your trajectory here. So Micah Goods is going, it's running, you're running it. There are other people that are helping you make everything happen. And then I know that your daughter ended up having some health issues, and that was sort of a big change in all of your lives for your whole family. Can you share a little bit more about what happened, what that process was like, and sort of how you navigated and managed like the personal side of your life that was changing so drastically, as well as your business, and like how did you navigate all of those challenges that must have arisen?
In 2019, my daughter who's always been, very healthy kid, was suddenly diagnosed with aplastic anemia. It's basically bone marrow failure. And it happened really suddenly out of the blue. 1 minute she's jumping around doing gymnastics, and then 2 days later she's collapsed on the kitchen floor. She's vomiting blood, and everything just happened within the span of 48 hours, and then she was immediately diagnosed. So everything changed at that point because with this disease, it's very similar to leukemia, basically, or at least the treatment process is very similar. It's a blood disorder. It requires a bone marrow transplant, and prior to the bone marrow transplant, you need um, to basically go through chemo to clear out your entire system. And so the first challenge was trying to find that bone marrow donor. And, miraculously, our then 3-year-old son was actually a match for her, which is such a miracle. I still can't get over it today.
Yeah.
When the doctors tested him, they had said, don't hold your breath. It's usually a 25% chance that a sibling would be a perfect match. And it turned out that he was. And I think at that time, I didn't even realize how lucky we were. My first thought when the medical team came back and said, you know what, he's a match. My first thought was just, oh my God, now both kids are going to be in a hospital. This is insane. I can't deal with it. And
Yeah.
and the doctors had to remind me, like, no, this is a good thing, you guys. Don't look so terrified. I remember the exact moment my husband and I were just like, what? And but yeah, it all turned out well. Alistair, who was only 3 years old, and had to have reach a certain minimum weight and mass to be able to donate the amount of blood that Micah needed for the transplant. And he's kind of a skinny kid, so miraculously he hit the minimum weight he needed
Wow.
to be able to be a donor. And it was just like I felt like everything, all the stars lined up, even in that crazy, unfortunate, like horrible time. Um, things just went well for us. And so in that aspect, I feel like I carried that with me, through the days. I felt like it's what kept me going. It just felt like, this we had so much support from the community, from the medical team, from our family, and it made me want to sort of push that kind of positivity through my own life and my business. And, if anything, it made me more focused on what I was doing at Micah. So all those months I was at the hospital with Micah, obviously, Micah, the human, my daughter's
Yeah.
named Micah. So the other Micah, the business Micah, suffered. Financially speaking, but I just felt like we're gonna come back. This is not forever. This is gonna pass. And my priority is Micah the human
Yeah.
and the family and trying to keep things together. So 2019 was a really terrible year in that sense, but it was also the year that got us ready for 2020, because I
Yeah. What an
mean, because
interesting way to look at it, but you're so right. It like must have totally prepared you.
yeah, because we were after Micah went through chemo and the bone marrow transplant, she basically had no immune system in her. So we were social distancing, you know, way before anyone else did. And
Yeah.
by the time the world had to social distance, I felt like we were such pros. And
Yeah.
Micah had been wearing a mask all day, 24/7 for a year, and she even designed masks for me. Like in 2020, Micah, the brand, started producing masks, and it was, through the expert consulting from Micah, the human, who has been wearing masks at that point for a whole year and knew exactly what a mask needed to do to feel comfortable. That actually was why we started producing masks, because I felt like, we have the expertise to do this. I've got a firsthand, long time mask wearer.
Wow.
But yeah, it was 2019 was life changing. And but lots of good things came out of it. So when we were living the hospital life, Micah and I, we every day we would draw something, um, like something mundane, but something that made us happy. And it started because we just had so much time to kill in the hospital. And so I would start doodling little things. I think the first doodle I did was a picture of a lunch tray or something silly like that. And over time, it became this thing where every day we would draw something that brought us joy, So it was like she was obsessed with Nutella. So we bought single pack Nutella for her to have breakfast. Nutella bagels were a thing, and so I started drawing that, and we would binge watch Friends every night, and so I started drawing that as well, and like a really beautiful thing came out of it because when I started compiling all these little illustrations that we had done, I had this idea that maybe this could be a book, maybe this could be a little book, a collection of illustrations that could bring little joys to somebody who's going through a tough period. And and it happened. This is the second book that I'm working on. It's called Eat Cake for Breakfast and 99 Other Small Acts of Happiness. And yeah, and it's going to be published. It's going to be available in May of this year. I think it already has an Amazon listing if anyone's interested in just
Yes.
looking it up and pre-ordering the book. I think you can do that now. Um, but yeah, I just like I'm just so grateful that we had so much positivity during such a hard period of time.
Mhm.
And I'm also really honored that I am able to donate, or at least the plan is once we start selling the book to be able to donate a portion of the proceeds to the UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital Foundation. So Micah was treated there, and I'd love to for our family to be able to give back in some way. So
Wow.
I'm
Oh
very
my
excited about that.
gosh. Well, first of all, congratulations on the book. That is so incredible and so thoughtful of you to donate those proceeds and send it back to the place that helped you get through that tough time so much. But also, I just have to say, like, I've been impressed with you forever. Ever since, I mean, you came to the city. I remember we went to some random coffee shop near the Javits Center because you were doing something there. And we just started chatting, and I was listening to you talk about the ambition you had in your business and the fact that you were so focused on also being such a good mother and it was just I was so impressed by how you could manage it all and stay so positive and forward thinking. And this is just another example of that through this very, very difficult time where you honestly could have chosen to be like down on yourself and upset all the time. And you could have done that if you wanted to. You decided that it was important for you to look at the bright side and look at all of the wonderful things that were coming out of it, like the time you got to spend with your daughter and the fact that you could look at small things like watching Friends on TV and see how beautiful those moments were. I just love that you are so impressive and amazing, and I'm just honored to know you. You're so awesome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so touched by what you just said. I it I think I get a lot of inspiration from my kids. So I feel like Micah the human, I keep calling her Micah the human. Um, she is such a force. I mean, she does embody the brand in that she's joyful, she's delightful, and that's how she lives her life every day. I mean, at the hospital, she was just so positive about this really hard thing that she's going through. I mean, she had her bad days, but she her nickname at the hospital was Mayor of Five South because she's in the fifth floor in the south wing of the hospital, and they called her the Mayor of Five South because every morning she would. She's hooked up to a pole and with her IV and everything on it, and she'd like walk around with the stupid pole and go, "Hey guys, Warriors game on tonight, Channel 7." And it was just hilarious. I mean,
Oh
like,
my
and there was just something about her, like this kid in her pajamas and she had lost all her hair due to chemo, and she was still so happy every day. And um, I think that really touched me, and that really inspires me every day to do what I do.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm literally tearing up like over here because that's just so incredibly sweet. What a wonderful spirit she has to just ha that is just her. That is just who she is, to be able to just walk around and keep that positivity and just act as if everything is normal at a time when things really weren't for her. It's so incredible. I mean, what an amazing inspiration to have living in your home every day.
That
That's
was I feel really blessed we have that kind of an environment in our family, especially going through 2020. And even now, we're still here. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So let's go to 2020. So, I mean, you have touched on this a little bit, that in a very interesting way, you were already sort of prepared for that, the moment of being social distance and wearing masks and all of that. What was that? What was that like when everything in the world sort of changed? Because that was your reality, but for the world, it was very new. What was that like for your business and working with your team? And also, did anything change within your family or anything during that time that you would like to share?
On the business side, it really changed. I mean, in January we were doing our usual trade show circuit. We were going around the country, showing new products, taking orders. And then in a matter of, what was it, like 12 weeks, everything just shut down. And every, every day we were fielding calls from our store account saying, you know what, cancel my order. Nope, don't want it. Push it off till indefinitely. And,
Wow.
so by the end of that second week, I think during the pandemic, we had lost about 80% of all the orders that we had taken throughout the trade show season.
That is
And
wild.
yeah, it was so unreal. And, like waking up every morning, getting emails and phone calls to cancel was just so heartbreaking and, just like, so deflating. And, but, like I think we all knew that, okay, we have to get through this somehow. And, luckily for Maika, the company, we had been actually preparing to scale our e-commerce operations since 2019. So when I first started the company, we were mostly focused on wholesale business. So the ratio of our wholesale to e-com business was really, I'd say, about 85% wholesale, 15% e-com.
Mhm.
And so I always had plans to expand into e-com and was preparing for that in 2019. And so it was fortuitous in a way because we were set up with the infrastructure to go. And so when wholesale shut down, that was really what pushed me to just go all out with e-com. And it's been really amazing, the growth. I think we grew something like 800% last year, sorry, when 2021.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I have to say, at first I was really doubtful about it because I thought, well, nobody's going out anymore. Why would you need a bag? I mean, why would you go buy a bag at this time? And but it turns out, I think when all of us are going through hard times, sometimes we need a little something to cheer us up. And Mica, the brand being what it is, it's delightful. We've got really great patterns and color. It's kind of the perfect pick-me-up gift for yourself or your friend or your mom. And we've also, we have a big customer base, I think, in people in the medical field, in the teaching fields. I mean, they're still out there every day. I mean, these are our everyday heroes, So they're out there. They need bags, they need masks, and we're, of course, more than happy to supply them with that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's so smart that you went into masks as well and that you used your daughter's experience to really help create one that made sense. And you're so right. I think over this last year, we all needed. My friend Kat just wrote retail therapy in here. That's what we needed sometimes, is just that little extra thing to just make us happy. And I think also a lot of people realized that they couldn't travel far, but they still needed to get out of their apartments. So people were probably purchasing things to, go on a hike or go
Right.
on a picnic or something like that, or a quick weekend getaway or whatever people were deciding to do. So it's really cool that you sort of were like, all right, here's the situation. We're losing these wholesale. Let's fast track the retail and make that go forward in our own sense, the e-commerce. Like it's great that you had that started so you could just jump in and make it happen. That's really amazing. Congratulations on an 800% increase. Wow.
I know yeah, it's great. But also not an easy thing to do because well, obviously, jumping from what was prominent predominantly a wholesale business into e-com, it's almost like starting a whole new business over again. And it's you're now talking directly to the end user, the customer, which is, to me, it's so infinitely valuable because these are the people who are carrying Mica bags every day and they know exactly what they're looking for. So instead of gathering feedback from store owners about what they think that stores need, it's really about the people who are using the bags. They're telling me directly, like, hey, I want to see this feature. No, I don't need that. And, so it's that whole experience has been really enriching and valuable for me, and for our team as well. But also being able to support our wholesale customers to for that digital transformation. So in order for the stores to stay alive, a lot of these are brick and mortar specialty stores, gift stores. They understandably panicked when they had to shut down their stores, and so they wanted to move online. And how do they do that? And since we've been doing that for a while, it was nice to be able to say, hey, we can help you, like here's what you need. And here's our product descriptions, here are our product images. Don't worry, this is how you upload them. So it's been nice to still be able to connect to the wholesale world that way, since we're not in conversation with them regularly anymore about orders and things like that, but to be able to just be there for them if they need us.
That's so incredibly generous of you during that time to just share, like, here's what you do, this is how you do it. Like that's so wonderful. Of course, it benefited you too if they could sell your products.
Right.
But still, really, really, really generous of you. I wanted to just say hello to Julia for a second because she just popped in
Hi,
here
Julia.
and said hello. So, hi, Julia. Congratulations on 5 years of Million Dollar Women. Thank you for bringing us together. We are so, 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 so thankful for that.
Yes, we are. Congratulations, Julia.
So, I have a few more questions for you. I could literally talk to you forever, but we don't have forever. So, in terms of first of all, when this is done, I'm going to make sure that I find that link for pre-order and share that in the comments for your book so that people can find that. But I also noticed that you had an I Fund Women campaign for the book, and that you also won the, what is it, the Pay It Forward grant. So would you mind sharing if you have any tips, because I know a lot of founders, especially now during the pandemic, have decided to start an I Fund Women campaign. Do you have any tips for somebody who is doing that, doing like the crowdfunding sort of thing? Like, what would you suggest to someone who's looking into that?
Um, yeah, so we did a crowdfunding campaign. This was myself and my publisher. We did this together. And the purpose of that crowdfunding campaign was to raise enough funds to be able to publish the book and market it. And we picked iFund Women because we felt like it was the right target market. It was mostly women, and we also found that it is a very supportive, tight-knit community. And what I really like about iFund Women is they um, they give you a lot of support. As someone who's trying to fundraise and not really being very familiar with this world, They have coaching services. They have they call it the iFund Women playbook or something like that, which I followed very closely. I found that to be really effective. It really was about mapping out your network and trying to gauge your success rate, based on that. So it's going in with very calculated thinking. It's not just putting
Mhm.
together a beautiful campaign and just like, everybody help me spread the word. It was, there was a lot of planning prior to that. And the playbook, it basically lists all of that out. It's a free download that you can get from iFund Women. And it teaches you, first of all, that the bulk of your donations will come from people you know. So, really trying to capitalize on that, trying to appeal to them, and then also trying to garner their support to spread it to their networks. So and it makes total sense. It would be rare for a total stranger to just find you on, iPhone when we go, oh my gosh, yes, here's
Yeah.
my money, here's my wallet. It's likely to be, it's likely to be a friend or a friend of a friend. And I think we've been able to find success in that campaign because of that networking effect. So for anyone who's looking to raise funds, I would, really encourage you to check out iFund Women and also, to craft a compelling story and follow the playbook.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I know so many people who are considering it right now. I was like, since you have a campaign and a successful campaign, I was like, I have to ask you that question. Um, I would also love to know, so as we're sort of wrapping up with the last couple of questions here, what is the best piece of business advice that you've ever received?
Um, so many. I
You can say a few, go for it.
I'd say one of it is to surround yourself with good people. I mean, that one has been really key for me. Just like, people you respect, people that you work and play well together. I I love my team. I have so much respect for them. I have fun with them and I work with them. And it just, if you think about how much time you spend at work, these are your people. And then the other thing is I think this is one that that has followed me throughout my entire career is to always be curious, to always be learning, and to be humble.
And then why don't you share, if it's different from what you just shared, any advice that you would have for an entrepreneur or for a working mom, just any sort of advice that you would offer to somebody who is seemingly doing 1,000 things?
Um, I would say be selective. It's okay to say no. I think in the beginning, I always said yes to everything just because, I felt like I have to grasp every opportunity out there. But then, over time I realized, well, wait a minute, there's only 24 hours in a day, and, some opportunities and requests are more valuable than others. So just be really selective about that.
That is such good advice and something I have to remember to live by as well. So, before we sign off, the last thing I would love to ask you is where people can find and follow you so they can continue along in following your journey.
Well, they can find me at Maika Goods on Instagram. That's the company Instagram. And then my personal Instagram, if you want to see illustrations and pictures of my kids and whatnot, and other passion projects I'm working on, it's Chewing the Cud Again.
Awesome. And then if people want to get your book, remind us when that's launching. And then once again, I will share the Amazon link in the comments. But when is that launching?
So it's going to be available May of this year. And I believe the listing on Amazon is already live, as I mentioned. The name of the book is Eat Cake for Breakfast and 99 Other Small Acts of Happiness.
Wonderful. I can't wait for that. I'm definitely going to buy myself a copy. Thank you so much, Viola, for joining me today. You are so impressive and wonderful and kind and generous, and I'm just grateful to know you. And thank you also to everybody who joined today and listened in and gave hearts to Viola as she was chatting because she's that amazing.
Oh,
So thank you again.
well, thank you for having me here today. It's so great to be able to see you here and can't wait till we see each other in real life again. And thank you everyone for listening in.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. I'll be back here on Freelancer Live next Friday, but in the meanwhile, have a wonderful week and weekend. Bye.